All right, everyone, welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Friday, November 12th, 2021. So another winner booked for us on Patreon. We've taken 5 winners in 5 days this week so far, and the profits are rolling in. So if you want to get in on that, come and follow me on Patreon. It is in the corner of the screen right here, Carnivore Trades. We alerted this out at 7:63 yesterday, and Aurora Blastoff took gap up above this head and shoulder neckline. We took profits on the first half for 6% at about $8, and we just closed out a quarter of the position at 840, so another 10% there. And we're still holding a runner position on this one. We think this one has more upside, but either way, lots of profits locked in less than 24 hours. We took winners on CGC earlier this week, as well as Vale, and we're in the money on some of our other trades as well. So big month for us so far already, and things are just getting started right now. But in any case, let's get to the markets here. S&P, let's look intraday. So had this little short squeeze on the open, kind of just chopped around. There was a large call buyer, I believe Market Rebellion reported. There was a pretty big call buyer for, I think, December 472 calls on the SPY. So that is possibly what drove the market up. Market's very thin today, almost as thin as yesterday. And that was with the bond market closed. So you'd expect a little bit more volume today, but not really so far. Triple Qs also getting a nice bid here off the lows. Tesla a lot lower, but stocks like Apple are holding up. Semiconductors are doing well. Applied Materials, new all-time high today. KLA 10 Core having a nice day, and AMD getting a bit of a bounce off of the lows from earlier this week. So that is helping out the tech sector, which did take a big hit after that big spike in rates. Now, speaking of rates, they are higher again. So we talked about that bullish inside bar yesterday. Flip over to the hourly and the TBT. We see that bullish inside bar. That is starting to play out. So rates are moving higher, and tech is still moving higher as well. And interestingly enough, we have stocks like JP Morgan down 0.7%, XLF down 0.1%. So there is some flattishness in financials. Wells Fargo is positive. Goldman is holding up. Citi is negative. Bank of America is negative. The KRE, KBE, you get the idea. But rates up and tech is up and fins are down. So a little bit of a mixed bag here, not what we're used to seeing. IWM scratching out a small gain here. One day is not make a trend, obviously, but if this continues and fins can't hold up with higher rates, that will be a major negative for the market. Now let's talk about the weekly time frame here. Let's go and look on the spiders. So it looks like we're going to reclaim this trend line here on the spiders on the daily time frame. But let's look at the weekly here. So I want to take a look at the MAC. And we do have a bit of a divergence here on the MAC. Now, the last couple of times we got up into this range, we had little pullbacks. And the last time we got in this range was at the end of August. And there was our pullback on the weekly. And now we're getting up to that area now. MAC crossing over a little bit, but we are into some resistance. Now, the area of concern to me is on the triple Qs. So we've been talking about this trend line. You guys been following me. You guys know what I'm talking about here. And we're starting to get up to that resistance area on the MACD. And every time we've hit this area and had a red week afterward, it's just, pulled back and gone lower. Now, it doesn't mean we can't grind up a little bit on this upper trend line next week, perhaps, and then maybe the blue line crosses over. So if we see a blue line cross over the tan on the weekly, I think the Qs are done, probably down to, the 370 area or wherever they may be when they hit there. This is an upsloping trend line, but you get the idea. So I think Qs are in a little bit of a risk zone here in the near term. So that is something to monitor, especially with rates moving higher. One day or so, the Qs can move higher with higher rates, but they will not be able to sustain that for very long. So just something to keep an eye on there. We talked about the IWM, and over the last week, I've mentioned that if it closes below this breakout area, it would be a failed breakout. Obviously, there's about an hour left in the trading day. That's not going to happen right now, but it could happen next week. So something to monitor. But a lot of people are trying to pile into small caps right now. And, there is upside to probably, maybe 250 in the near term. But, obviously this would be your area to enter it for a long, but if it closes below this on a weekly basis, it could get ugly pretty quickly. So just keep that on the radar as far as small caps are concerned there. Let's take a look at crude. So crude not really doing a whole lot today. Energy kind of flattish, actually down almost 1%, but really just kind of chopping in this area. If we look at the weekly time frame, it's kind of just consolidating bullish, I guess you could say. You have this sharp move up. It got really overbought. Went into this broadening pattern range at 85. We've been talking about that for weeks. That's where I said it was going, and then it's pulling back. So if it wants to make a move to 90, this is what you want to see, a little bit of a pullback before an advance. Now let's talk about nat gas. So nat gas, yesterday we had that, it didn't trigger the head and shoulders, and then, it tried to trigger it, but it closed above the neckline, right? Then yesterday we closed green. Now today we are closing red. And so that will trigger on a weekly pattern. So we have a head and shoulders in play on nat gas going into next week. And the target for this is pretty low. So we got 650 here down to about 470. Yeah, so you're looking at almost $2 of downside here. If this were to play out, that would take you down to about 350, 335. But if this does play out, it's not going to go straight down. You got a lot of support right here at this trend line. You've got support right here at 418. And it could fail. I mean, it could bounce at this trend line here, and then, as long as it closes back above the neckline, that could be a failed pattern. So, but just wanted to point that out. That is triggering so far in nat gas. So keep that on your watch list here. Let's talk about the dollar, and then we'll get into some precious metals talk here. So dollar pulling back just a little bit here. Nothing major. This will confirm a breakout this week. So we have gold breaking out, and we've got the dollar breaking out, and we've got yields moving higher. So there's a lot of distortions going on right now. There's definitely a mixed bag of tricks going on in the market right here, and the market is higher. So market up, dollar up, gold up, everybody gets to go up, right? Even the VIX was up a little bit this week, although it's pulling back. But in any case, dollar index confirming this breakout here on the weekly, closing above that 200 moving average. Doesn't mean you can't pull back a little bit. You are, a little overbought short term. On the weekly time frame, you did a nice consolidation there, but you'll have a resistance area right around 96. But ultimately, this thing can get up to 97, maybe in the 98, 99 handle if we really have some type of panic event, which I think can happen as we get closer to the year end. But in any case, dollar holding up, confirming that breakout. Let's talk about gold. So gold also into some resistance here. This high from a couple of weeks ago, well, actually, it was really in June 14th, the week of. So 1880, that's going to be a major resistance area for gold. It is performing very well, though, on a daily time frame. It is overbought, though. It's going to need to do some backing and filling to get through this. I think if basically what I'm trying to say is don't chase it. You'll get a chance to buy. It probably will pull back to this 1840 handle, and pretty much across the board. So you've got this inverse head and shoulders here on gold that triggered. Silver, this one triggered today, and you can see it on the SILJ, you can see it on the GDX, it's all over the chart. Each and every one of these has that same kind of pattern, which you'd expect. But I think that these names will, the metals will pull back. They'll give us a chance to enter, but we don't need to chase them here. And if you want to get the levels that we're going to buy them at, come find me on Patreon, and we will get those out to you. Again, like I said, we've been having a really, really strong month so far, just banking profits left and right. But let's move on. I want to talk about copper really quick, and then we'll get out of here. So the other metal, copper, having a nice move here. So we talked about this and how it pulled back very sharply. And now it is holding this upper band here, this upper trend line. And if we look at the weekly, I talked about copper is safe as long as it holds this inside bar low, which it has. So you have 1, 2, 3 bar pullback here on the weekly. And now it's possibly getting a little bit of a bid again. So even copper, a base metal, starting to shape up and look, like it wants to curl back up and maybe retest the highs here. Platinum also having a nice day. This does need to pull back, but this also triggered a head and shoulders, an inverse head and shoulders as well. So all the metals are looking really strong. Palladium, really the weakest one, but again, not in terrible shape. It is breaking out of this little range here. You are above the 50 MA now. So, metals are in good shape. And I think that any pullbacks will probably be a good buying opportunity in the near term. And like we've been saying for months now, there is a possibility and there is a chance, and it will happen. It has happened before. It will happen again, where the dollar goes up with gold. And the same thing goes for rates. It is possible for rates to rise with gold. And that happens when you have inflation fears, which this market does have. So the possibility for that is on the table. But in any case, check out the weekend video. That will be on Wall Street for Main Street's page. The link is in the description in the bottom. I'll have that out for you tomorrow. I'll go in the markets a little bit more in depth. But anyways, guys, take care. Have a great rest of your weekend, and thanks for watching.